What's up, everybody? Trying to get this situated here, my little setup. There we go. Bring this one to the front. Jeter Collector, my man, what's going on? Yeah, we're here tonight. I did finish my breakdowns and everything. I'm trying to get this window to stick here. Bear with me, guys. I'm really bad at this stuff. I'm trying to figure some stuff out here. I need to freeze this window. View. Maybe I can make it smaller. There we go. Yeah, so I wanted to do this live to kind of just go over the checklist. I did finish my breakdown. I did finish my top 20. I could only do, I only had 20 guys that ranked 3 or higher on this checklist for 2024 Bowman Chrome. So, can you guys hear me? Am I good on audio? Hopefully the audio is good. I lost my... There we go. Check in on the OBS, so the audio should be good. Yeah, so we're gonna kind of, I guess, go over my breakdown, kind of, I guess, just breeze over some of the people that I like. Bowman Chrome for me, yeah, it looks a little rough this year. There are some decent names. I'm not sure if there's any like big names like Basayo on last year's Chrome. I know Salas was a headliner, but I don't really know about Salas at this point. I've kind of moved off of him after his offensive performance this year, so I think it's up to like 141 autos. It's a huge checklist. There are a lot of grenades, and by grenades I mean players that don't think are going to have more than a $5 auto on release. I actually have a record number of people on the chopping block for a new release. This hasn't even released yet, and I've got like 11 guys on the chopping block that are just pretty pitiful. Roddy Rodriguez might be the worst player on the checklist, so it's looking like a Texas Rangers heavy. It's looking like a Los Angeles Dodgers heavy. I think those are going to be some expensive break teams. Like I said, I do have my top 20 here. The Phillies could be a little expensive with Taiit, depending on who, if they want to chase him. I do really like Taiit. I think he could be one of the better guys on this list. I have him at number 3. I will give you guys, the majority of the watchers are probably my OG channel watchers, so I'm not afraid to kind of give you guys some previews here. The complete breakdown is in the Patreon. I'm sure most of y'all are probably subscribers to that if you're here tonight, but I wanted just to go through some of the guys I like. Of course, DeVries. I mean, Leonidas DeVries is going to be... He's going to be the big chase guy. We'll just lead off with him. He is a 1.5 for me. Let's see if I can get to find DeVries here. I'm trying to situate my chat to where I can see what you guys are saying and kind of see what my little notes here. With DeVries, the thing, he's very young. They could have started him much lower than low A. He played the majority of the season at like barely 17. He has the lowest, if you look at my my top 20 guys, he's got the lowest batting average on the list for any of these players that are in my top 20. But I've also kind of moved away from batting average. I kind of fell into Luke Adams, a guy that I kind of like now. I think there's some risk with Adams with his defensive ceiling, but with DeVries, there's some athleticism here. I do have him as a 1.5. He's the highest ranking player on this list, and he's the only 1.5. The thing I like about weighted on base average is you don't see it in the stat line, but DeVries has 22 doubles this year. So he over 354 plate appearances. And I'll talk about these guys. I'm going to do the top 20 video probably this week, but I also want to hear from all of you collectors out there who you might be chasing. You know, if you had any questions about anybody, if you had any questions about the release, if you're new to kind of like Bowman or collecting or the Bowman Chrome release, ask any questions you want in the chat. This was kind of the basic reason for doing this video, is to kind of help anyone out, because I know a lot of data gets thrown around in my videos that I do, and some people it may be just a little too much, you know, for their experience and understanding so far in the hobby. But this is a very tricky release. Like I said, lots of grenades. I'm not sure if you guys can put in the comments. I didn't even check the pre-order price because I don't buy wax. But I can imagine, I think I saw them on eBay. We can look up pre-order probably on eBay here and see what they were going for. That's my saved search for some odd reason. We got 2024 Bowman Chrome hobby box. And I'll get back to debris too. See what they're going for. So $395, there's no way. No way. 330 still seems like a lot to me. We're looking at 2 autographs per box, so 330 must have been pretty close to the pre-order price, because that's where the most of them are at. I don't know who the guy selling it for $395 is. I'm not sure how many he's going to sell with that price point. But now I didn't see a Skeens rookie card, unless he's in the base. He doesn't have an auto. I'm pretty sure he's not in the rookie card auto checklist. Does he have a base auto? Got the Chrome prospects, and the rookies should be somewhere on here. Chrome rookie. Yeah, he's not on the autos. He's going to be a base rookie from what I believe. Yeah, the breaks are probably going to be the best way to go here. I would maybe chase a player, and I would also probably sell immediately within the first 2 weeks. If you hit any big cards, maybe that's a pretty good price for $290 for a case. $269. Okay. So the eBay people are trying to make a little bit of money on their $269 buy-in. It's going to be, like I said, it's going to be a tough rip for a personal breaker, or for like a personal rip. I mean, I know some of you guys just like to rip new releases, and that's totally fine. Sometimes the checklists are really good, sometimes really bad. But like I said, there's a lot of really big grenades on here you don't want to hit. On to DeVries. Like I said about him, I really like the power. He's got a lot of easy pop if you watched his swing. I'll try to jump on a MILB.com video. I already have it up here. Show you a video of one of his home runs. Yeah, $240. That's really cheap. That's an awesome price. I'm not sure. I used to do breaks. Breaking just wasn't really my thing. I'm not sure how you guys get such cheap prices. I used to just order stuff off of Dave and Adam Card World, but I was watching the latest Sports Card Radio video about the new CT scanners, and just like freaking out, being like, oh my gosh, I'm never buying a single box again. If you guys haven't seen the new stuff with the CT scanners, that's definitely something you need to check out. It's over on Sports Card Radio, and yeah, the Padres are. It's just dependent on what Silas does. So this is DeVries. He's a switch hitter, and this wasn't the video I watched, but there's some athleticism there. You can see how he kind of went down that back knee to get to that low pitch. Like it's not something you see a lot of young hitters with athleticism to do. But it's pretty easy pop. And like I did say, he had 22 doubles and 11 home runs. So there is a very high power ceiling there. I think he might be a little more power over hit, but it's hard to tell. He's so young. The kid's only 17 years old, and he started in low A. So that's probably going to be the big chase here with 2022 or 2024 Bowman Chrome. Yeah, there are definitely some sleepers. We'll get to some other guys that I like. We have some twos. Like I said, DeVries was the highest ranking at 1.5. I think my second and third were definitely Tait. We'll go down the list here, give you guys a little preview. You can find this breakdown with all my notes and everything on the Patreon page. Jeremy Rodriguez, he's a guy I like out of this for sure. Definitely couldn't find a good picture of him for the video. I actually made my first card for the video with my top 5 on it, and I found a really old picture of Jeremy Rodriguez. It looked like he was in a Little League uniform, but yeah, he's definitely a guy I like. Braylon Morrell, I had him at a 2.5, but he could have been a 2 for me. He's got some pretty good offensive numbers going into this release. Hit above 300 across 2 levels. Now, I mean, the DSL, obviously, and I didn't mention this, and I'm going to mention the big video. The guys with DSL stats only, I'd be very, very weary of. Throughout history, has repeated itself that guys that perform really well in the DSL, it's basically maybe a tick below like a 6A Texas high school baseball program. It's probably maybe even like a maybe tick below a 5A Texas high school baseball program. So if players struggle in the DSL, that's a huge red flag. If players do really well over a small sample size, even a full sample size in the DSL, I wouldn't tread heavily on those numbers. We've seen it time and time again. We'll go through some guys in this video who have absolutely tanked outside of the DSL. Yeah, I do have the updated release rankings over on the Patreon. I did get a little behind this year with the 2024. I was doing a lot of like the prospect hot sheets. I'm thinking about moving the prospect hot sheets to a monthly series next year so I can keep things more updated over there. But I just got done with 2024 and 2023 draft, and I think 2023 Chrome. But Morrell's definitely going to be a guy to watch. He's got some elevated K rates, and he's got a little high swing strike percentage for the complex league. But what I've noticed with a lot of these DSL players is that the swing strike percentage is quite high at that level. I don't think there's a lot of plate maturity. It just, I don't know. The DSL's it's a roller coaster. So don't tread heavily on the stats. I really like the guys that have like a year of the complex league or even a year of low A is even better. So Morrell's a guy that I like for sure. Get into a little bit. There's Curly Martha. He's got the second best name on this checklist, next to Vladdy Guerrero, and Vladdy Guerrero is really bad. So if you're chasing him, it's probably just for the name. Let's see if we can find some more twos in here. Shedry Vargas, another guy that's pretty solid, and like the thing I like about Vargas is he does have the sample size from low A this year, so that's comforting to know. He has a lot of thump. He's got double-digit home runs last year and this year. He's got 20-plus stolen bases. Now, another thing for some of you new collectors and people that haven't been in the hobby for a while, low A stolen bases are very inflated. I wouldn't really consider a player being an impact runner until they get to high A or double A, and we see what kind of running numbers they put up at those two levels. A lot of pitchers in low A are still learning how to hold runners, learning how to slide step. It's pretty much just a free for all. If you have marginal speed, you can steal some bases at the low A level. So I try to really hold off on, giving these guys credit for impact speed when they have high stolen bases at the low A level. But definitely a guy who could have a speed power ceiling. He's a number 21 organizationally, but I think he's going to be another one of the big chases in this release. Shedry Vargas with the Texas Rangers. Rangers are going to be super expensive. He's posted 3 consecutive seasons with a 130 plus WRC plus. So some cool numbers there. Doesn't walk a whole lot. Has some swinging strike. 16% in low A is a little high for me, but he did play the majority of that season in as an 18-year-old. So something else to consider. We've got Eduardo Beltre. He's a DSL stats only guy, a 505 weighted on base average. So here's a perfect example of a guy who crushed the Dominican Summer League, and really don't have any data after that. And it's scary for guys like this. You really never know what could happen. Eduardo Beltre, like Yasser, I'm thinking the name that's coming to mind is Yasser Mercedes from 2022 Bowman Chrome. Had just an incredible year in the DSL in 2022, and then in 2023 came to the Complex League and really struggled. He's kind of getting back on track now, but just stupid numbers in the DSL, and just struggled once he got stateside. So I really take these with a grain of salt. And if you guys look back, I would like to do a video, of course, releases of all the top international prospects over the years, like top 5 international prospects that have $5 autos right now that were probably around $300 on release. Some guys that come to mind are like Carlos Colmenares, there's Robert Poussin, there's Eric Pena, some guys from earlier releases. Christian Hernandez is really struggling. I think at some point he was a $400 auto. Pretty much any top-ranked prospect when 2021 Bowman Chrome released is a $5 auto at this point, and several of them from 2022. So, Eduardo Beltre. And here's Eduardo Tait. He's a catcher. He's really stocky, so there's really going to be no impact speed there. There's not like superb athleticism. I'm not sure how well he's going to fit behind the plate defensively, but he's a power-hitting left-handed bat that has a chance to stick behind the plate, and that's pretty special for organizations. You get a guy, I'm not saying he's Adley Rutschman, but to have a power-hitting guy that can swing it from the left side behind the plate, that's definitely a perk for a young player in the minor leagues. So the only bad things that I see with Tait are the walk rates. They're very low. They got exceptionally low at the low A level, 4.5, but it was over a small sample size. But he's hit across 3 levels. Didn't hit for much average, but he still had a 340 weighted on base average, 3 homers. Definitely somebody to keep in mind. He could fly under the radar being a Philly. And like I said, a left-handed bat with some power, with some thump that could stick behind the plate. If he doesn't play behind the plate, I'm pretty sure he's going to be limited defensively, probably to first base, maybe left field as a stretch. If you watch some video on him, he's a very stocky, doesn't look like a big athletic fella. So Emil Morales, he is a cover boy. These are the guys you got to be careful with. The Emil Moraleses. You saw his card in my little thumbnail. He was one of the the hyped up cards on all the checklists and everything. We're looking at a kid who's played 190 plate appearances. He could also be another one of the top chases out of this because his numbers are so good. A 338 ISO. I mean, when you have a player that puts up a 338 ISO, that should be a red flag in itself that it's not going to be repeated probably ever again, and it's going to occur nowhere else but the Dominican Summer League. 13 home runs, 11 stolen bases. Stupid numbers. They're video game numbers. And what I've done with my content recently is no matter how good somebody plays the DSL, I don't go above a 2.5. I'm pretty sure I set my limit at either 2 or 2.5. I want to say 2.5 for DSL stats only. In my previous years of doing breakdowns like this, I probably would have had Emil Morales as like a 1. And I've learned my lesson from that. This is the fourth Chrome release that I've covered since I started Let's Talk Wax and like really breaking down checklist in-depthly. And I've learned a lot by doing this for the last 4 years. And like I said, the DSL stats, you have to take them with a grain of salt. We really need to see what he's capable of doing over a larger sample size in like low A. So usually, like I said, with these Chrome releases too, it would be an instant sell for me. If you guys are jumping in breaks and you pull a blue Emil Morales and you want to get it graded quick, I would dump it as quickly as possible. Within the first 2 weeks of release, prices are going to be just absolutely insane. And you're always going to have the chance to buy back in at least at the same value or less, because all we're doing is coming into the off season. These players' stats are not going to get any better. They're going to stay like this until next year. So we're talking about like four or 5 months, especially guys that are going into the complex league that are going to go to an extended spring training. We're talking like 6 months of stagnant stats. So on release hype, these prices aren't going up. Like once if Emil Morales is a $400, I'm not saying he's going to be, DeVries could be a $400 auto. If he's a $400 auto on release, those prices are not going to go up, period, for 6 months. That's going to be a fact. The only place they're going to go is down. So my advice for you guys would be to get rid of these cards as quickly as possible. And in the next few months, like once 2024 draft comes out, would be a good time to buy back in if there's players that you guys like, because they're going to be so much cheaper. I cringe every time I see the eBay sales of these players right at release. And I'm not sure if it's because people want to scoop up cards quickly because they know they're only going to be passed through maybe one hand. Somebody hits a big card to break, they put it right on eBay to try to maximize their profit. So a lot of cards are going to be in good condition. Hopefully, some people may not want to risk sending them off to get graded and risk that 1 week of lost profits based on the latency spike that you're going to get for a new release. So let's get more into some of these players. There's Iverson Allen, another cool name, but he's like I'm not really sure what's going on here. He's only got 49 plate appearances, so we don't have a lot to work with. I gave him a 4-ish. But the name is awesome. The release is September 15th, I believe. If I'm wrong, make sure one of y'all put that in the comments. But I'm pretty sure it's September 15th. Got Joral Perez. He was traded to the Chicago White Sox. He is a Los Angeles Dodger on the checklist, though. As I mentioned before, the Dodgers are going to be a pretty expensive team. Had some pretty good numbers over the season in low A, 19.7, age appropriate, had 10 home runs. So there's some thump there. He's got reasonable K numbers, takes a fair amount of walks. It looks like things kind of went down post-trade, but it was a small plate appearance sample size of 46. He's got really good swinging strike percentages. Since entering low A, he hasn't gotten above an 8. So those are really good swinging strike numbers. He's got really good ground. He gets the ball in the air quite a bit. You can see here by the ground ball to fly ball ratios. So could develop into a power guy for sure. Usually when guys are second base / shortstop in the early minors, they usually tend to gravitate towards their lesser position, which would be second base. Not always true. But if you notice the guys that stick at shortstop, they're the guys that are getting 90% of their reps. They're the everyday shortstops for their given team at every level. So definitely something to consider, because the premium for a shortstop is going to be a lot more than a premium for somebody who plays second base and doesn't have as high of a defensive ceiling. So keep that in mind as well. And here's Jeremy Rodriguez. I forget who was mentioning Jeremy Rodriguez. Matthew in the comments earlier. He does not have a first Chrome. He's a first auto only, so he's going to be a tougher pool. You're not going to get any first Chrome parallels. You're going to get autos only, but not a bad season in the complex league. 18.1. He was a DSL repeater. That makes me nervous. I'm not sure if it had to do with the trade from Arizona to the New York Mets. Sorry, not a DSL repeater. He was just traded. He did play one season in DSL in 2023, and it was about a 200 plate appearance sample size. Had pretty good numbers. It looks like he's got fringy power right now. He's had a couple of home runs, but speed looks to be maybe one of his strengths. He's got really good swing strike numbers. It's 1.0 ground ball to fly ball is a little high for me, but it's not the worst that I've seen on this list. So definitely some upside too with him possibly being able to stick at shortstop. Jose Perdomo is a guy that my buddy Bobby, who does a lot of content for Let's Talk Wax, I gotta fix this mistake here. I got a slash in there instead of a dot. He likes Perdomo a lot. There just wasn't enough for me to go off of. I really don't read into, you can go to MLB.com and you can go to the, I'll show you all how to get there. It's a pretty good way to kind of keep up with top prospects. If you go to MLB, the international guys, if you go to MLB.com, and I will do something fun here too. We'll look at the international prospects from the last couple of years. And you can go to international, and basically the Chrome releases cover these international guys. So like you see, DeVries obviously number 1. Jose Perdomo's number 3, but there's just not enough. I don't read what they have to say, because the stat line pretty much is all that matters to me. I don't care if somebody's 6'4", or somebody's 5'11", or if Sam Dykstra thinks that they have a cannon at third base, because the bat ultimately is what matters and the production numbers are what matter. But I'm not saying to discount these guys. These guys do a lot of homework. It's really impressive how much work they do behind the scenes, but I try not to read into projection. I try to go based solely off the numbers, and that's helped me quite a bit in the hobby. But you can see some guys, Devers on this checklist. I think they go to like 50, so they got the top 50. And we'll do something fun here. We'll go to 2023 and we'll type in the international guys. So this was a pretty good class here. Salas, obviously, I'm still not sure. The defense is elite. Everybody knows defense is elite here. It's just the offense that is kind of a question mark right now. Felton Celestin, he's definitely a guy that could have an enormous ceiling. He's performed. He hasn't been a bust. And Vargas is another guy. These two guys right here are pretty. They're pretty good outliers for what Chrome releases usually do. And you're going to see here they had Walcott at number 8. He would probably be number 1 on my list if I could redo it in this class right now. Brando Maea, didn't really have a whole lot going on. Brailer's okay. Starlin Caba has some upside as a speed prospect. No power to show for right now. Rainer Arias is struggling big time so far. This wasn't a terrible class. Robert Calais is an absolute monster right now. Yolan Cespedes is having a pretty good season. Welbin Francisco is one of my favorite sleepers, if he's a sleeper anymore. In this whole class, I bought a bunch of Welbin like 2 months ago, and he actually was one of the few that got promoted to, him and Calais both got promoted to low A after the complex league this year. So that was a pretty good sign for my Welbin collection that I have. Deturi, not a whole lot going on there. Trying to look through here. There's Rodriguez again. Felix Morabel, no. So this is not a bad class, but let's go to 2021. Take a look at that class. So we got Wilman Diaz was number 2. He's flat out terrible right now. Carlos Colmenares at number 3. He's flat out terrible right now. Armando Cruz, flat out terrible. Christian Hernandez, not good. Yiddy Cappy, not good. Shaylin Polanco, not good. This was an epic, just Pedro Pineda, not good at all. Christian Santana is still, I think, in low A, swinging and missing his shoes off. This guy was all right. Jackson Chourio, he kind of panned out. He's a pretty solid MLB player at this point. He's had a pretty rough start to his major league career, but over like the month of July and August, he's been on an absolute tear. and he's 20 years old. So obviously, the big kahuna was number 16, and that's how hard it is to kind of project these guys when they're so young. Blythe still has a chance, I think. Ganow is a guy who's a top 100 prospect now, and he was 22 back in 2021. Looking at nothing else really going on there. And we'll go back to 2020 just to take a look here and see. This is kind of, I just don't see this class being as strong as 2022 or 2023 for sure. I think it could be more like a 2021. See if this will even load. I am working off a hotspot. They're putting in fiber optic cable internet on my road this summer. I'm super excited about it. It was another reason I didn't do a lot of breaks, was because my internet was so slow. And hopefully this stream isn't laggy and awful for you guys. This doesn't look like it's going to load. I'm going to give it a refresh here quick and see if we can get it. If not, we'll just move on, because this class is pretty rough. I think Dominguez is definitely going to be the top dog here, but we're looking at the Passans and the Peñas, and it's not going to load. So we'll go back to the breakdown. So Josh Adamzewski, I want to say I didn't watch any video on Josh, but he did look like a definite sleeper. There are some guys in the Milwaukee organization that I really like right now: Batanti, Adams, Cooper Pratt. There's some really hopeful players in that Milwaukee Brewers system right now, and this guy looks like another one of them. Not a high ceiling defensively, but he's put up some really solid numbers. I'm not sure how much power he's going to run into. Just kind of a fringy guy right here. Definitely somebody to watch. He could be pretty cheap. I just couldn't find any video on that guy when I went to look for him. Get down to, we already did Leo. Lisbel Diaz has put up some pretty good numbers. Here's another example of guys that do really well in the DSL. Had a 406 weighted on base average in the DSL, a 436 weighted on base average in the complex league. Got called up to low A this year. Still kind of young at 19.1, so he played the majority of those reps at 18. But you can see how the numbers kind of fell off. The contact rates for sure. K percentage hit an all-time high. Walk percentage hit an all-time low. And that's been a telltale across the board for a lot of these prospects that perform really well. I'm not sure if Randall's in the chat tonight. He is my Giants guy. Whenever I put rankings out for Giants players, Randall usually has several rebuttals, and they're all really good rebuttals. He is a Giants fanatic, so if he's in here, maybe he can chime in on Lisbel. But he does a really good job with San Francisco Giants prospects. He kind of steered me in Casey Schmidt's direction. I think he had Casey Schmidt's Superfractor and a Casey. Yeah, he's here. So hopefully he abides to my ranking of Diaz. But like he has some really big cards of Giants players. Does a lot of card shows. So if you ever see him out there, be sure to stop by. He knows his Giants prospects probably better than anybody that I've met in this kind of realm of the hobby. So I do appreciate your help with that, Randall. I'm hoping that he's said he's going to be at the gosh, I can't think of it. I was just listening to the Sports Card Radio. We're both avid Sports Card Radio fans. The Burbank Card Show. He's going to be at the Burbank Card Show. So if you guys are going to Burbank, make sure you stop by and see Randall. He'll probably have a bunch of Giant stuff on his table, and that'll be his tell. We're going to scroll down. We've got Theron Lorenzo. He's a guy that I'm just kind of like, man, I don't really know where to go here. He has a lot of power, and I mentioned in my comments, this sticks out right here, this line. He hit 24 home runs in 2023. Now, this is really weird because he only hit about 11 over the same plate appearance sample size. Now, that could have been The effect of kind of adjusting to high A, but he's a little old for high A. He was a little old for low A when he did all that damage. He's got really fringy K numbers. He does take walks though, so there's things that excite me. There's things that don't excite me with Lorenzo. He's going to be a Dodger on the checklist, even though he was traded to the Detroit Tigers right before the deadline. And just a guy that I think could be a little bit of a risk. He doesn't have a very high ceiling defensively, so he's definitely going to have to really maintain those power numbers to make it to the big leagues. But being with the Detroit Tigers is much better than trying to make it to the big leagues with the Los Angeles Dodgers. So the only problem is going to be he's not going to be in his team's uniform on his card, which doesn't really seem to impact the hobby much. You know, you got guys like Soto, some of the really big players like Juan Soto obviously he's in a Nationals uniform for his Bowman Chrome auto, and that doesn't really affect his prices. So not that big of a deal, I don't think. Some people, I think it's more of a taste thing. And we're going to get down to the bottom here. That's really it. We got Ben Rice with the Yankees. He's got a first Chrome only, no autos. He's one of our only really notable graduates to the major leagues. We've got some guys on here that have first Chromes and other releases, so they'll have a non-first auto in this release. And like I said, we've got lots of guys on the chopping block. These are all just straight grenades. Randall, I did put Javier Francisco on the chopping block. And if you have any problems with that, be sure to DM me in the Discord. I forget what I put a player on the chopping block that he does PC, and he does deep dives on these guys that he collects. So whenever I do rank guys that he PCs, he definitely throws the info at me. I think it was a guy out of 2023 draft, but yeah, that's really it. There's not a whole lot of thunder here. You can see the guys, down here 16 through 20. Just not really exciting numbers. I would probably stick within the top 10 on this release. We haven't seen what we're going to get as far as the parallels go for the autos. There's really no telling what new parallels we might see or how many parallels we're going to have. Like I said, we got 140. Look, Chrome Prospect Autograph Checklist, we got 141 cards. And we're looking at, based on my top 20, we're looking at like 15 dudes. Number 15 on my list has a Juggernaut ranking of 498. Number 11, Joshua Lugo, has a Juggernaut ranking of 554. So that's very, very low. If you guys aren't familiar with my Juggernaut rankings, you can go watch my videos where it kind of explains how I come to fruition with those. I started doing those last year, and I think they're pretty good. I've got them pretty dialed in. Like Leo DeVries, he's number 58. Tait is number 69. They're two guys that I really like, so I'm happy, with the formula and how it works. But when we're looking at guys in the top 11 through 15 with Juggernaut scores that are this low, that's kind of scary. Especially when there's 141 autos and you don't know if they're going to have like cheetah, thong, leopard print parallels and like blow pop flavor parallels. There's really no telling what direction we're heading with Bowman Chrome baseball cards. I remember when I started collecting back in like 2009, 2010, there were like 6 or 7 parallels. It was like a refractor. There were no purples. It was blue, orange, red. They had gold. There was no greens, and now they're just coming up with like the blue craters. And the one year in Chrome they did blue ray waves instead of true blues, and that was just an absolute disaster. But we got the Chrome rookie autograph checklist. I haven't talked a whole lot about that. Colton Cowser, Colt Keith, that dude's gonna swing it pretty good, I think. I still believe in Curtis Mead if he can. 5 different types of each color. Yeah, they had no shimmers, they had no waves. It was a cool time to collect, because when you pulled a refractor, it was like, holy crap, I got a refractor now. Refractors still have a lot of value, but when you're getting into like the purples and the it's just a mess. There's a mess. Too many cards to name. Elliott's got another rookie card auto. Henry Davis still has a chrome rookie auto. Jackson Chourio still has a chrome rookie auto. Dominguez, they're just wearing these guys out. Luciano still has a chrome rookie auto. Langford. So that's the chrome rookie auto checklist. Like I said, we don't have any information on all the parallels. I don't like it. I was thinking about this as I was doing this checklist, and over the years, I would really love to see Topps do 2 big releases every year. Do a 2024 Bowman, include all the international guys that actually have a shot. And there's no point in putting, I mean, if you go look at Roddy Rodriguez's stats, if you go and look at how does he get on a checklist for a card product, like I don't get that at all. His numbers are a disaster. I don't understand why we need to water it down and put guys like on this one. We could do 2 big releases a year. Just make the 2024 Bowman release just unbelievable, and then draft is its own thing, because that's an unbelievable release every year. There's really no point to have chrome. When you have 141 autos on a checklist and 15 of them are going to be maybe have a shot to become major leaguers, that's a huge problem. You're looking at 130 autos that could be $5 2 weeks after release. And it just doesn't make any sense to me to put out a product just to put out a product. I'm not a hobby influencer. I don't work for Fanatics. I don't get paid by anybody, and I really don't care how anybody, in that realm, the big time influencers perceive this. But it's just this product does not look good. I don't understand why we have to have 3 releases just to have 3 releases. I understand why it's to make money. And charging, $200, $300 for a box of this to do a personal rip, and you're not gonna win. The chances of you doing well on a personal rip in a release like 2023 Bowman that is just off the wall good. It's stupid good right now. There's so many guys in that release, so many top 100 prospects. Like 2024 Bowman was not very good. That release was not a very good release. Not even close to 2023 Bowman. I understand that, international classes do vary. I understand sometimes draft classes vary, but there's just no need to have a 144 autograph checklist with so much trash on it, where we're to the point where on release I've got 11 guys who are already just off the table. And there are a lot more that I could have put on there. There's so many 6s there. I mean, you're looking at 6.5s, 5s, and if you go to my rank guide, that's like a ceiling of a below average regular at the MLB level. A 6 is a ceiling of an MLB bench player. And I'm giving a lot of these guys credit to even make it to the major leagues. That's a feat in itself, because 95% of prospects aren't going to even make it to the major league level. But yeah, I don't know how y'all feel about it. I would definitely, if you're interested in some guys, I would definitely pursue the break. And that's what the hobby's become. It's a breaker's hobby. People are smart enough to know they're not going to buy a $279 box of cards with the 141 autos on it and break even, especially when 90% of those guys they're trash autos. They're just thrown in there because they have to put out a release, and they have to make their money from chrome. So I really don't understand why, if we're trying to lean towards more of the collector standpoint. The checklists, when I started collecting, they were not even close to this size. Like, I'm having trouble keeping up. I know Jeter Collector mentioned about updating all of my my Bowman autograph checklist breakdowns, because I do all these over on Patreon. I do these for every release, and I try to keep them updated throughout the year, and they're just so big. I'm so watered down with just trash. And there aren't a lot of guys that rank higher than 3 anymore. The chopping blocks become extremely large after one season, and it's just, I don't know. It's kind of turned into a money pit, But people are gonna buy cases upon cases of this stuff, and they're gonna break it. They're gonna do random breaks somehow, and make their money back. But I would definitely not buy this for personal rips. I wouldn't recommend buying a box of cards and expecting to make money back in the hobby. I would basically, the only reason I would say buy a box of cards is just because it's fun. And that's where I've kind of really gotten frustrated with the hobby. When I got in 2010, I bought boxes. I could afford to buy an $80 box of Bowman baseball cards. I could afford to lose $80. But now we're looking at $300 boxes of cards, and there's a really, really, really good chance you're going to come out of that box with $50. If you buy it, the best advice I could give you if you want to rip is to sell everything as quickly as you can and take advantage of that hype. But if you go, 4 months down the road and draft's coming up and you're buying boxes of 2024 Bowman to rip, I mean, you're going to get slaughtered. You're going to get absolutely slaughtered. I've never had this many threes on a top breakdown. Like, that's 10 dudes in my top 20. I couldn't even do a top 25, because there just weren't enough guys. The rest of the guys on the checklist are 3.5 or lower. There's 10 threes on here, and that's just like, But Romeo, could have maybe put him at a 2.5, but yeah, that's the end of my rant. I think they should consolidate releases. I don't think there's a need to just throw a product out there, because they know people are going to buy it. Like I said, that's why I wish more people would watch this channel to understand that the odds are not in your favor at all. Even buying singles, the odds are not in your favor. I really pivot towards guys who are injured. I pivot towards guys that are, having dips. I did buy some Trio stuff when he was struggling out of the gate. I've been really big. I just bought a bunch of Jet Williams stuff because he's done for the year. Johnny Farmello stuff is down because he's done for the year. But it's really hard. It's really hard to make money in this hobby. It's not easy. It's based on so much chance. And the funnest part of the hobby for me has been kind of taken away, like I said, because I used to love I had a budget, I'd buy one box a month. Back in like the 2000s, I bought a case of 2011 Bowman Chrome. Those boxes go for like $1,000 now, I think. I'm actually going to look it up on eBay. If you guys, I'm probably just going to end up ranting for the rest of the night. If you guys have any questions, I did see a question about a player. I'm going to get to that on Carlos de la Cruz. We'll just jump him into Fangraphs. See what we're working with here. I can't also advertise. I don't get paid by. Obviously, that's not the guy. What release was De La Cruz? Thinking maybe we're looking at this guy, 2410. You'll have to let me know, Andrew, if you're still in the chat, what release he's out of, and I could probably pull him up and find him. Like I said, when you're dealing with checklists that have 165 autos on them, and you're doing those for years, going all the way back to 2019, it's really hard to keep up with guys who are like fringy, who are sleepers. But where was I going with this? We're going to look up a 2011 Bowman Chrome hobby box. Yeah, this is the box. I bought a case of this crap, okay? It was a Black Friday deal. I bought a case of these for $500, and I was like, oh my gosh, I was freaking out. I've never spent that much money. There was a lot of big cards coming out of this release. They had the Trout rookie card with the rookie insignia, not the auto. They had some really big cards in this thing. I ripped it. I pulled a blue Trout. I sold it immediately. The biggest regret of my life, it was a true blue refractor with the shield. But I bought a case of this stuff for $500. It's $2,000 now. I could afford to lose a little bit of money, but you know, like back when I started, you could buy a hobby box of anything for 80 to 90 bucks. And every month I would buy a hobby box of something. I would go in through checklists and I'd be like, ah, cool, let's see if I can, you know, pull a cool card out of this box. But I don't buy wax anymore. I can't afford to lose $300. And it's difficult for me. And it's frustrating for me to, it's frustrating for me too, for new collectors to go out and drop a ton of money and not really understand the risk that they're taking when they do this. So just be aware. If you guys want to just subscribe to the channel, I try to do just stat-based info. A lot of stuff on my Patreon is basically just data and organization, so you guys can really see what these checklists kind of come down to. Angel, you got here a little late. If you go back through, we went through some of the guys that I really like. We went through the top 20 kind of already. But I didn't get into arms. I did start covering pitchers. The best guy on this pitchers checklist is definitely Sproat. He's a 1.5. We've got Teodo at a 2. This Avila guy, I didn't get to watch any video on these guys. As a 2.5, they're all in AA. Some pretty good numbers. He's got the sub-4 FIP, which is pretty good. Luis Morales with Oakland A's. He's their number 2 prospect, and he's doing pretty well in high A. A little old for the level, but I didn't go back and like put all their career stats. I just went with 2024. The pitchers don't get a whole lot of love, but I do try to give you a little bit of info on pitchers. But if you guys have any questions you want to throw in before we get off of this live stream, I've kind of said my piece about 2024 Chrome. If you guys did buy personals, I'm not saying you're dumb. I'm not trying to make you feel stupid for buying a personal box. Like I said, it really is about just the excitement and the fun of ripping, but I just feel like that Topps has kind of taken that out of the hands of a lot of collectors, especially like kids. Kids can't rip this stuff. There's no way. There's no way. When I first started collecting, I played professional baseball. I collected as a kid. I freaking spent all my money on baseball cards. We had a little shop in Mifflinburg, Pennsylvania called Cooperstown, and I would go spend all my allowance, and I've still got those cards in my attic. I played ball in college. I played in the minor leagues, and when I got out of minor league baseball, I started kind of getting back into like the prospecting realm. And I was fresh out of college. I was fresh out of minor league baseball, so I was broke. I signed for like $1,000. I was a 19th round pick, and I was a senior in college, so I got a plane ticket and like $750. So when I stopped playing minor league ball, I was broke. And there's no way I could afford to, I got into teaching and coaching, I could afford a $300 box of cards. It's just not, they're pricing people out of the hobby. Everything's geared towards breakers and dudes that say bruh way too much on live streams. Now, there are some very good breakers. Those guys, there's a lot of really good guys in our Patreon. Chet does a great job. Justin, I'm sure I'm missing a bunch of you guys. They're very active in the Facebook communities, and they're really good at what they do. They know what they're doing. They know the prospects. They're not gonna, geek out because they pulled a Curly Martha card and he's a juggernaut rank of 498. So yeah, the Patreon is Let's Talk Wax. All my stuff, I do have an Instagram account. I suck at Instagram. I'm really bad at that. I'm really bad at Twitter too. And I don't like Twitter because it's almost too much politics on there. Whenever I log in to like post something, I see stuff about elections, and I'm just like, yeah, pivot. Let's go to Facebook where it's a little more my age friendly. It's basically just baseball cards. But I will have the top 20 video where I'll pretty much give you guys my my thorough breakdown, my write-ups for all these guys. And like I said, I know most of the people in here are probably avid Let's Talk Wax watchers, so I don't mind giving you guys a little snippet of that video early. To probably only about 800 to 1,000 people will watch my trash channel on my live stream anyway. So yeah, that's my take on 2024 Bowman. Uh, Gosh, I wish I would have held those boxes. That was a huge mistake, but it was a fun rip. That was probably one of my most memorable moments of my life was when I bought that case of 2020 Bowman Chrome. That was a fun 2 days. But I appreciate you guys jumping in this. If you are ripping, good luck. If you're jumping in some breaks, try to make sure that you are breaking with well-renowned whatnot breakers, and definitely watch out for some dips over there. And good luck, guys. If you need to find some guys that I will vouch for as far as breaking goes, you can join the Let's Talk Wax Facebook group. I think they're both in there. If you check out the Let's Talk Wax Discord, we've got that's where a lot of the really good Bowman breakers, they're very active. They're in the Discord too, and they usually post their stuff in there. I really wouldn't allow some randos in there to do breaks for people that offer me money for my insignificant opinion that is purely skeptical and not fact. So thanks, guys, for jumping in this. I'm going to go ahead and hop off, and I'll probably put out my top 20 this week, and I'll also do my team break guide. That'll be a video, and I'll also have the hard sheet over there on Patreon as well. So y'all have a great night. I'm going to shut it down.